Let's take a deep breath. I think we need that right now. Let it go. Come back into this moment. It's my honor and privilege to introduce our speaker today, Reverend Bobbi Becker. She's a minister of the Centers for Spiritual Living. She's a graduate of California State University, Long Beach, with a degree in journalism and public relations. She's graduate studies in communications and a master's in consciousness studies from the Centers of Spiritual Living School of Spiritual Leadership. 2014, she retired from the corporate career. I understand that. That's good for you. To pursue a passion for ministry. Bobbi enjoyed 27-year career as a manager for the Metropolitan Water District of Southern California in Los Angeles, with experience in managing at all levels and numerous programs within the organization, ranging from public relations, business outreach, environmental compliance, to water and energy funding. She has a passion for speaking, which you will understand in a minute, teaching and coaching, helping her clients work beyond fear, move into authentic, powerful lives. My privilege to introduce to you Reverend Bobbi Becker.
Well, good morning. Cantor Mark, where did Cantor Mark go? Did he already leave? There he is. That was beautiful, and I don't know how this lady right here is related to you, but you should take her home because I've never seen such love and awe watching someone. So thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I get it. So let me just let technology take its moment to come back on for me. It is a pleasure to be here. And let me just say this. I love what you've done with the place since I've been here. I love Simi Valley. Reverend Steve and I we connected immediately in ministerial school together, and I've mentioned this before, but he and I have this really special connection, and I'm assuming a lot of it, but I really enjoy that about him, and I'm so grateful that you get to have him. And Johanna as well, and what a beautiful community you have. So let me just say I'm very grateful to get to share in that today. My talk today is about how we can be the biggest change in the universe, in our planet, this world, is by being us. Uniquely, authentically, and beautifully us. And I say that individually and collectively, but mostly how I can be me. That is the most... that is where our infinite power comes from. That is how we can make the biggest change on our planet. So I want to talk to that a little bit. And I'm going to tell a story that's rather gross, but it's kind of important. So for you vegetarians, let me just apologize now. There's this story of a tigress, and she was pregnant, very pregnant, and she happened upon a herd of goats, and she got so excited and so overwhelmed that she went into labor and died. And she had this little tiger. And the goats scattered, of course, when that tiger got so excited, but they returned back when they saw that this little tiger laying next to its mama, who had passed. And feeling very protective, they took this little tiger and they raised it as one of its own. Now, as they raised it as one of its own, they raised it as a goat. And this tiger became a vegetarian, and the tiger would eat the grass, and it would ma, and make all the sounds of the goat. And what was really interesting about it too, though, is that the tiger was very weak. It was very thin, very lean, because it was not eating of the diet to which it had been born to eat. So one day, as the tiger is hanging out with the goats, as a goat, this male tiger comes into the herd and pounces, but immediately backs up for a moment because it sees this tiger in the middle of these goats. And it asks the little tiger, it says, well, what are you doing? And the little tiger just back and just proceeds to eat, but kind of curious what this animal was, right? So the tiger kind of swats, the big tiger swats at the little tiger and kind of knocks him around a little bit, says, come on, wake up. But the tiger doesn't understand. So he grabs the little tiger by the ruff of the neck and carries him over to a pond. And he tells the little tiger, he says, look at your reflection. You do not look like these goats. You look like me. But the little tiger looks and he's still confused because he doesn't understand. He sees, but he doesn't understand. So then the tiger grabs the little tiger and takes him into a cave where he had some leftover antelope. And he takes some of the meat and he shoves it into the little tiger's mouth. There's the gross part, sorry. And the little tiger chokes. But the meat goes down into the little tiger's stomach, and all of a sudden, something happens. And the tiger starts to feel different. Little tiger starts to feel the blood pumping through it as a tiger. And the big tiger says to the little tiger, now go be a tiger and eat what tigers eat. I don't know what that story means. I'm kidding. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I don't know what that story means because sometimes I'm running around like a goat and I'm sort of playing in the goat world, and I'm not a goat. And that's what's really interesting, is oftentimes we're playing in this planet as if we're something that we're not. And we're sort of practicing a whole host of things that we are not. Let me give you my favorite list of things that I do. I make assumptions about the universe and that it works like I do at the human level. So I play really small. I place differing value, on different things I see. Good, bad, important, not important, good enough, not good enough. I decide who I am from perceptions of my past. That's my favorite. And I live from that story, right? I look at negativities as things to eliminate rather than consider what they are here to teach me. Actually, all these are my favorites, so. And when something happens or there's an opportunity, I try to figure it out with just this part of me, which is when I live really small. There's an Indian mystic, his name is Sri Maharaj, and he says this: the real world is beyond our understanding. We see it through the net of our desires. We divide it into pleasure and pain, right and wrong, inner and outer. To see the universe as it is, we must step beyond the net. It is not hard to do because the net is full of holes. And what are those holes? They're contradictions. We do and undo at every step. We want peace, love, and happiness, and then we work hard to create pain, hatred, and war. We want friendships, and then we exploit. See the net as made of these contradictions and remove them. Just by seeing them as contradictions, we remove them. For us to become who we really are, we have to nourish that which is what we really are. Just like the tiger. We have to eat tiger food. And we need to stop eating goat food. The goats can eat the goat food, and that works for them. But it is really important that we find out what tiger food is for us. And part of that is, how do we live authentically? Sri Maharaj, which I've been reading his book, I Am That, which is a really fun book to read. He says oftentimes the way to that is to understand what I am not, so that I may understand what I am. We tend to live much easier in the world of negativity. But we can eliminate that negativity by identifying it first. I think the really interesting thing about living authentically, though, the more I'm practicing it, and I've been doing this really committed spiritual practice, and I'm about to hit my 40 days. I love the idea of 40 days. It's symbology, it's the metaphorical importance around it. It is when we set an intention for learning, when we set an intention to understand something new. So I've set on this 40 days to understand something new about myself, and I'm around day 37. I am expecting enlightenment in 3 days, and I'll call you. But I will tell you this, I have had such amazing experiences in the 37 days so far, but also what I've had is some very painful days. Painful in looking at how I'm seeing certain situations and how I'm seeing certain people. And what I'm coming to understand, which is, what do I want to contribute to as me? Can you go to the next slide? Thank you. Pablo Picasso said, "My mother said to me, if you are a soldier, you will become a general. If you are a monk, you will become the Pope. Instead, I was a painter and I became Picasso." I've spent a lot of time in my life doing things really well and not doing certain things so well. And I tend to focus on the things I do really well and have avoided the things that I've not done really well. But the truth in under those things that I don't do really well is where the magic is. And what I often don't do very well is honor and revere who I am as a divine being. I believe sometimes the message that is coming from the goats of the planet, that I am not uniquely and beautifully divine, and that I have this special contribution that I've come here to make. And by doing that, I have been short-changing my planet of my gift when I do that. I speak for me because I know that each one of us does that. I know that I'm not alone in that. But I recognize that there's a still small voice within us that guides us on how we can make that contribution as who we are. And what happens is, when who we are authentically and consistently whispers to us who we are. And if we can't hear it, it's because we've chosen not to hear or believe its beautiful and unique sound, its message of who we are, and we've become deaf to the sublime tone. We don't believe that we have this, our own beautiful, unique, sublime tone to be. I know that the cantor has listened. As I heard him speak that in voice and music up here, there's a sense of awe when someone is expressing who they are uniquely and beautifully. We cannot help but feel it. Goosebumps, tears, love, when someone expresses that. And it pulls from within us that knowing. Ernest Holmes said there should not be any sense of hurry or worry about this, the work that we must do. Let me read that again. There should not be any sense of hurry or worry about this, just a calm, peaceful sense of reality. Let the law work through and express itself in the experience. In the experience. The point in science of mind, what's really interesting is when we first start practicing this, you know, you've heard it, parking spaces, princes, princesses, and what's the other one? Palaces. We learn to work what the world is. We learn that there's a power greater than us, and it is for us to use. We learn how to manifest, because it's really important for us to understand how the universe works so that we can let it go and let it work on its own. But first, we have to work it. Next slide, please. So let me give you an example. This is not far where I live. I walk this path every day, and I live in South Orange County. And we moved into this apartment near this hike, and I got to tell you, we're right in the middle of the city, so I don't understand how this showed up. I really don't. I don't get it, but I'm grateful. So this beautiful path, and I think it's about 5 miles, and I've been walking this path for the last 2 weeks, the 4-mile portion of it. And my lovely wife, Janine, who's in the audience, and she'll wave. Go ahead and wave, Janine. I have to do that occasionally because I don't want to be the only person in the middle up here. So she's a runner. She runs it and I walk it. And that should tell you a lot about us. So one day she ran, and we have to have this fob. You know what a fob is? It's like this little disc or a key, but it's an electronic key, and it gets you in and out of something, whatever it is. And so she was wearing running tights, she had tucked the fob inside her running tights, and she went on this run on that particular path, this beautiful path. And when she came back, she walks in the door and she looks at me in some order. I'm sure the order's wrong, but in some order, and she says to me, "I lost the fob." And I went, "What? You lost the fob? I just got the fob 2 days ago." And she goes, "Well, it's not like I lost it on purpose." Now, I know all this, but, you know, I'm in my own little frustration about it. So I went, "All right." She goes, so we went about our day. Over the next few days, I had this feeling. I said, "You know what? I want to find it." So I'm on this, new journey, and I'm testing the universe all over the place because, that's kind of what I like to do. I'm a scientist at heart. And I said, "You know what? I'm going to go on that hike." Because I'd been looking for a couple days, but I hadn't seen it. And I mean, I was really focused looking. I'd look, and then I'd forget I was looking. You know how that goes? And then you go, "Oh, it's probably where I wasn't looking," right? And I said, "It's got to be easier than this. It just has to be. And I know it is." So I'm going to go looking, but I'm not. I'm going to find this fob on this 4 miles of this. And sometimes it's not even that clean. I mean, there's leaves and rocks. And by the way, the fob is not like this hot pink, or sunshiny yellow. It's not a color that is going to stick out. So it's like this nondescript gray that looks like the rest of the hike. So I started on the hike, and I said, "Bobbi, you got to trust. Just trust. Just trust. You don't have to really look. You just have to trust. So let's play in this." So I started walking, and then I'd look, and I go, No, you don't have to look. You're going to look down right at the moment you need to, and you're going to see it. And that's how it's going to work, because that's how it works. So I walked about 3 miles, and every once in a while I'd catch myself, really focused looking, and I go, no, you set an intention, so you have to trust and you have to have faith, and you just have to know. So I walked 2 miles, and I was coming back, the turnaround, and I hit the 3rd mile, and I was about to go up this incline, and I'm walking. I got my dogs with me. That's one of the dogs. And I'm walking, and I looked down, and I went, "Oh, next slide, please." There it is. Now, it was not in a place that could be seen. It was laying amongst other pretty little fob-looking rocks. Just being itself, being a tiger. And so was I. I was eating from what I am to be eating from as the tiger of who I am. And there was the little fob. I was so excited I couldn't stand myself. I was by myself, I was jumping up and down and I was dancing. And this is the picture I texted Janine and I said, I found it, you know. And a friend of mine who had been walking with me, I texted to her and said, I found it. And I didn't find it. It found me. Thank you for doing that. Get up here with me. No. And then I just stopped for a minute. And I had this sense of awe. Just this amazing, beautiful sense of awe. I don't have to do anything. Not really. I have to just let go. I just have to let go. And surrender. And allow the universe to do its magic. As me. As you. So then after that, as I did the rest of the walk, I was thinking, you know, where in my life am I not trusting? Where in my life am I not being that? How am I not showing up as me? And when I'm trying to kind of work it out in my own way, I'm in my way. The solution is very simple, not necessarily easy. But it is very, very, very simple. Now imagine, I didn't part the Red Sea, but I think I can. I just may need to practice a little bit. But in the realm of the divine, the fob and the sea are no different. There is no difference. The only difference is in my mind. Now, I still have it. I'm not saying that I haven't figured that, I haven't crossed that gap, but I have the idea. I have the idea. And what I need to remember is I don't cross that gap alone. I don't do it up here. I do it here. I don't try to negotiate and navigate through it. I don't try to bargain with it, and I don't do any of that. I just have to let it. I have to trust that I don't have to know what's going on around me for it, but something does. Something much bigger than me. And it includes all of you. We can make such a difference by trusting in the universe and trusting that what we think is such a small part that we play has such a huge impact. Again, there is no difference in the mind of God. None. By playing me, by speaking me, and by doing me, the tiger, I can make the biggest difference. And though I may think it's not, it's none of my business. It really isn't. What is my business is to speak my truth and to listen to what that truth is to speak. The belief that it's all me, and if I can't do it, something about me is not worthy or enough, is a lot of times what I'm listening to, and that is not the truth of who I am. I am worthy, and I'm enough. Whatever it is within you, whatever is your list of things that you are not, that you are doing, you get to make that list, and you get to look at it. And that list is what you get to let go of. And whatever it is you think is in your way is in your way. So what I'd like to talk to you is about the 3 practices I've kind of been said about in this last 40 days, 37 to be exact, before enlightenment. And these 3 practices are very important. Can I go to the next slide? Dr. Wayne Dyer, what an amazing powerhouse that we lost this last year. Was it this last year? Yeah. It feels like, yes, only in the human form. It feels like so long ago. But intention, the power of intention. I ran into Dr. Wayne Dyer literally at an airport in Maui. And I mean literally. I ran into him and his luggage went one way and I went the other. And I was reading his book, The Power of Intention, and it was such an affirmation of the fact that opening to the power of intention, you begin knowing that conception, birth, and death are all natural aspects of the energy field of creation. The power of intention is how everything starts. It is first cause. And whether you set that intention consciously or unconsciously, it is where power lies. Something else that I've been playing with, again, is this idea of union with the divine. What does that look like for me? It's called many things. It's called yoga. It's called sattva. But the union with that divine, one of the things that I'm finding is compassion and trust are 2 of the most important ways in which I find it. To the next slide. Compassion at its deepest and most honest level is called reverence. It is simply the experience of accepting that all life is in and of itself of value. There is nothing in our experience that does not have value. And every time I divide it into value, I've taken away the value that it has. If I put it over here as important, over here as unimportant, or whatever it is, that this person does not look like me or act like me, I've now all of a sudden devalued everything. I do that with myself. When I say that I'm not good enough, I've also all of a sudden placed value, that I'm not worthy, that the experience of the fob meant nothing, that it was circumstantial and coincidence. And it is not. And I know that. When I trust in the process and as it works. Go ahead to the next one. It's true. We must trust and know that there is something happening that is bigger than us, that we are part of it. There's this science out there called the science of awe. You've heard of it? It's so interesting reading. They're doing this whole study at Berkeley about awe and what it is. And awe is such an interesting thing. And I saw it as I was watching you watch your beloved sing. There was this awe. There was this amazing joy and love, and just like I'm going to interpret for you. She saw the gift as God right in front of her, and she shared in that gift without any concern of anything except the gift, and that it was God. And it was one of the most, and I felt it. I felt awe watching her watch him. It comes in many forms. But the interesting thing about awe is what it does is it takes us out of the mundane, the day-to-day, the routine, the habit, and it brings us to that experience that there is something bigger than us, even if we don't have the words for it. And the more awe we experience, the more we let go of small, the more we let go of mundane, the more we let go that nothing is special, or that some things are special, and the more we know that it's all should be revered and has reverence, demands reverence. Trust me, I know what I'm doing, the universe said. And the universe whispers that to us constantly and consistently. What awe does that I think is so interesting is that when we practice awe as a spiritual practice, it folds in the social collectives that are present in our planet. It allows us to remove ourselves from our own small self-interest and connect to the larger interest. It allows us to see our community around us and know they are family. It allows us to see those that are unlike us as family. It allows us to see that everyone on the planet is part of the human family, and it allows us to see that every creature and every plant and everything is part of this family. And that we get to play in that. Can you go to the next slide? Did you see that?
Yeah, beautiful.
Did you see my slide or did you just see that?
I saw that on, I think it was Facebook or on the internet.
Okay.
It was amazing.
It's amazing. These are starlings. Would you play the video for me? And while she plays it, before she plays it, so before you hit play, just wait one moment. Starlings, we know a lot about them, the size and the voice, where it lives, how it breeds and migrates, but what is a mystery about them is they fly in murmurations or flocks without colliding. So I'm going to let you read this, and in closing, what I'm going to do is I want you to just listen to your heart as you watch this. It's a demonstration of how our planet plays when it knows what it is, when it knows its divine truth, when it is as it was meant to be. It's the dance. Do you feel it? The awe. Ralph Waldo Emerson said, he said, "In the woods we return to reason and faith. There I feel nothing can befall me in life. There is no disgrace, there is no calamity, leaving me my eyes which nature cannot repair. Standing on the bare ground, my head bathed by blithe air, and lifted up into infinite space, all mean egotism vanishes. In the wilderness, I find something more dear and connate than in streets or villages, in the tranquil landscape, and especially in the distant line of the horizon. Man beholds somewhat as beautiful as his own nature." The awe that we feel is just a reflection back to us of who we are. It's that part of us that is the divine that says, yes, 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 I am. In closing, I always offer a prayer, but this prayer I would like to offer is from that amazing mystic Ernest Holmes. So I'd like you to close your eyes as I share this prayer with you. I know there is a power for good which is responding to me and bringing into my experience everything that is necessary to my unfoldment, to my happiness, to my peace, to my health, and to my success. I know there is a power for good that enables me to help others and to bless the whole world. So I say quietly to myself, there is one life. That life is God. That life is perfect. And that life is my life. Right now. It is flowing through me, circulating in me. I am one with its rhythm. My heart beats with the pulsation of the universe in serenity, in peace, and in joy. And my whole physical being is animated by the divine spirit. If there is anything in it that does not belong, it is cast out, because there is one perfect life in me now. And I say to myself, I am daily guided, so I shall know what to do under every circumstance, in every situation. Divine intelligence guides me in love, in joy, and in complete self-expression. Desiring that the law of good alone shall control me, I bless and prosper everything I'm doing. I multiply every activity. I accept and expect happiness and complete success. Realizing that I am one with all people, I affirm there is a silent power flowing through me and them, which blesses and heals and prospers and makes happy and glad their pathway. And realizing that the world is made of people like myself, I bless the world and affirm that it shall come under divine government of good, under the divine providence of love, and under the divine leadership of the supreme intelligence. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. And so it is. Amen. Thank you for sharing your day with me.
Didn't I tell you she's amazing? Thank you so much for reminding. It's remembering to remember all the time, isn't it? Just every second, every minute, every hour of every day. Just remembering to remember who we are. And coming back to that center point. Understanding that it's here, not here. Okay. And as Reverend Stevens started, wow, there you go. Ah, we got 3 on both sides. Very good. Nobody's going to turn it around. I'm waiting for it to move. There you go. There you go. Don't have a conniption, Reverend Stephen. It's fine. All right. What we've been doing, and this is the practitioner, this is a prayer request box that we have out in the lobby. It'll go back out there after the service. And the practitioner of the day will take whatever requests come in after the service. So please, if you have something going on in your life, you have something happening, put in a prayer request, and the practitioner of the day will take care of doing some prayers around whatever is going on in your life. And also, if there's somebody that you want to include in the healing prayer today, I know that I'm going to include some family members. My sister-in-law passed away last night, so I'm going to include her family. And so if there's anyone, just please state their name, call it out, so we can include it in the healing prayer today. And take a deep breath and let it go. And come into this moment with me and know that as it's stated, it's already done. In mind, in spirit, and soul, there is only God, one mind, one wonderful, phenomenal intelligence that works in and through everyone and everything. That perfect creative intelligence is total synchronicity in our lives, in this world. We know that any prayer that has been stated, any person that has been put into mind, is already uplifted with love, care, compassion, and assistance wherever it's needed. We let go of the ordinary and step into the extraordinary, for that's who and what we truly are, as we heard today in our talk. We take that with us in spirit. We take that with us within our hearts. And everything that comes our way is now blessed and wonderful and magnificent. We know that's the only truth, that is. We know that it's God. We step into that understanding and knowing right here and now. We take it with us. Release these words into that perfect law that says yes. And together we say, and so it is. Okay.